So you might be thinking about jumping from that middle level audit up to that top level professional audit exam. And there's a few things that are pretty different about that exam that you need to get to grips with quite early. But you'll be reassured to know there's quite a lot of things that stay pretty similar in that exam. So we start with the big one, which I did another video on previously. It's the financial reporting. That's a big jump. Okay, really big jump up to that top level because in middle level, you're really talking about doing financial accounting for some similar stuff that you would have been tested on at that knowledge level or in some kind of exemption, whether it's AAT or university. When you get to that top level, you're really then talking about taking two financial reporting exams in one. So that's a really big jump. But I did a whole video on that that you can have a look at. The other bits that are really different in this exam is it gets a lot more practical. So it starts to get into the nitty gritty details of what an audit's properly about. So how you deal with problems, if the evidence you've been given is good quality in a big 20-mark question. So it really hones in on the details that may have been light touched sometimes at that skills level, that middle level, but then that top level really exposes that in a big question. So that's a really, really common question about the quality management, whether that's dealing with the responses to ethical problems, whether that is the evidence collected or whether that is the report that's out after that someone's prepared, maybe a junior person has prepared theoretically, then you're dealing with evaluating that. And that's a really big challenge at that level. But the other bits that you would have seen a little bit at AA, and it's almost a guaranteed question, is a risk question. So at this level, they really give multiple different risk questions, focusing on the business a bit more, but also the financial reporting and the kind of practical sides of audit. But again, focusing on financial reporting at both levels. So it makes it a bit more of a challenge for that. The other bit that gets a lot more focused than you would have dealt with is that completion reporting. So there is a focus and typically a whole question that covers completion and reporting. So whether that is just reporting or whether that is dealing with the uncorrected misstatements, whether that's dealing with the draft report, those kind of things really do get tested every single time. So again, that's a 25 plus mark question that you really have to get to grips with. Other than that, one of the areas that does pop up is assurance engagements. So basically not an audit. So anything that's not an audit, whether that is a cash flow forecast question, which we always like those, or whether that is something on the forensic side or an investigation or something, again, a bit more like a practice could do, but a separate team would probably do that. So again, that can be its own question. But just to reassure you, there are plenty of things that are very similar to that audit level. So there is a risk question, okay? There is a financial reporting focus, but the tests as well. The tests are the same, okay? The tests, the structure of how you write tests is exactly the same. So as long as you got to grips with that at AA, that will be 100% guaranteed at this level, possibly 10, 15, maybe even up to 20 marks. So it gets, again, a bit more focus, but the structure behind it is the same. Okay. And again, that'll be dealt with in a separate video. And then also those risk questions, that they are a similar structure to what you saw at AA, but there's multiple different types of them, and you don't normally deal with the responses to risk that you dealt with at that kind of AA level. And the other thing they like to do is they chuck in a knowledge question here or there. So whether that is about key audit matters or some kind of current issue, or maybe even a technical article they brought out. Again, that type of question you had all the time at AA, but again, it could be a few more marks, maybe 6 or 8 marks at this level, rather than, maybe 4 marks, 5 marks right at the start. So I hope that helps. Have a look at the other videos if you want to find out a little bit more about audit from any exam.